Hi, my name is Stacy Masser, author of Embracing Motherhood, and I wanted to talk to you today about how we made our stock tank pool. About 4 years ago, my husband and I decided that we wanted to make a stock tank pool for our young children, and we couldn't find a lot of instructions on how to do it online, so through trial and error, we just kind of figured it out. Now here we are 4 years later, and we did the tubes completely wrong. We drilled the holes too small and it just created a lot of leaking, a lot of patching. So here we are 4 years later and we're finally doing it the right way. Now, making the holes and attaching the tubes is probably the most intense part of making the stock tank pool. So I'm going to spend the majority of the video talking about that. But before I get started, I wanted to mention a few other things. When you get your stock tank pool, which we got ours from a local farm store for about $350, it's an 8-foot pool, you want to pick the right location, and this place right here is perfect because it's right next to all of our other children's playthings. We built a sandbox at the same time as we built a stock tank pool, so we used some of the sand to level the area. We also made sure it wasn't too close to any trees so it doesn't get a lot of leaves or debris. And it needs to be close to a source of electricity, so we have ours plugged into the shed there. So once you have your stock tank pool, you will also need a filter. We went with this sand filter. You can also get a saltwater attachment that makes a natural form of chlorine. We just use this little bromine tablet holder, or you could put chlorine tablets in there to kind of keep things clean. We also just empty it if it gets really dirty. We have 5 kids, so but this filter does a phenomenal job of keeping things clean, keeping the water stirred up. The filter is very large that we got. I don't know why we got it so big, but it has worked really well. We have had this for 4 years, and you fill it with sand, and the sand should last for 5 years. We've just been filling it up every year because why not? But this filter has just been phenomenal. It's got a lot of power. Turn that on here. You can turn on the timer and have it just come on the same time every day. This is where the water shoots out, and then the water is sucked in over here. Okay, so once you have your stock tank pool and your pool filter, which comes with these 2 hoses, you will need to order these attachment pieces that will connect the tube to the outside and connect it to the inside, and have those linked in my blog. And you will also need like a corded drill. The cordless doesn't have enough power, and you'll need a hole saw attachment. This is a 2.5-inch diameter, and it'll be a little bit bigger than what these attachments are. And then you fill in the rest with some plumber's epoxy and some waterproof epoxy, which you'll need to seal up the hole. And you can see I have put that around the edges here to really seal everything up, and I'm going to explain that in great detail throughout the rest of the video. So these are the pieces that we ordered. The tubes will attach to the filter, and then this part will attach the tube to the stock tank pool. So we're going to put this on the outside, that, and then this goes on the other side here. Now the problem is we made this hole a little bit too small. You need to measure what the outside diameter is that you want to fit in. You want that to fit in here, and it's just a little bit too Alright, so we made this hole a little bit too small. And what we're going to do is put a piece of wood behind it, because this drill, the little bit in the middle, needs to catch on something. So, alright, the cordless drill didn't work so well, so now we're going to try the corded one.
Yeah, did something. Blasted a little bit off of it.
Bit of heat here. We're gonna see if this fits through now.
Beauty.
That's great. And it is a bit too big, but that's okay. We're gonna fill that with some epoxy putty. Okay, so I just went to our local grocery store and picked up some epoxy, general purpose, or some water weld epoxy putty. I figured the epoxy putty would mold better around here. So I'm gonna put this through. I'm gonna put the putty kind of around the threads where there's a gap and then just try to close it. Okay, just wanna show you where those gaps are here. And the rest on the outside around there. So I've got some pressed around the inside. Alright, so this piece won't come off. This is attached on there. Probably don't need something this big. That's what I had laying around, so I tightened it with that. Put some more plumber's putty, just made sure all the edges were sealed. You can turn this off and on by locking it and unlocking it here. But no, this won't come off. Alright, so I painted the epoxy on the outside of the plumber's putty. I let that sit for an hour there, and I painted it here. You want to really make sure you're getting the underside, because that's really the hardest area to get, and that's where we've seen it leak when we've done this before. And I got this side too. Epoxy on that side there. And we also had a problem where this was kind of coming apart. We've had this our 4th year in the seam here, and we've put some different kind of putty, but I think this epoxy is going to do really well. So I put that there, and I put a little bit on the inside and on the outside. Okay, so I want to show you how this is going to fit together. We bought new hoses because the insides of our old ones were all covered with green algae, and we just couldn't even clean them with a power hose. So that's going to hook on here and tighten, and it's going to attach over here. This is the out valve, so the water is going to be sucked in there, goes through the filter, comes back out here. Now, we didn't have these before, but these are going to be really nice because it's not going to suck the kids in as much. We just used to have a hole. This is going to prevent a lot of the big debris from coming in as well. So this hose, attach here and connect over here. Now, like I said, we've had this is our 4th year, and we have never taken this hose apart and cleaned it. Bad move, because whenever I took this off, this area here is completely full of weeds and leaves, and no water was even getting through at all. And we did a pretty good job cleaning that out with a power washer, so we're going to keep that. Whew. All right, so that's going to attach there. You want to keep your eye on this area too and make sure that's cleaned out. So we use the power washer on that. Put some there. Screws on there. All right, so I got the hoses attached here, and I've got the filter all put together. The hose is all screwed in here. Hopefully. Now this, I'm a little concerned about. This might leak. Well, we're gonna fill it up and see if there's any leaks. It is leaking like crazy. And it's just what I thought. Yep, it's that. I was too loose there. I'm gonna need to put epoxy there. Let's see. This side seems pretty tight. All right. We got a few drips here. So I ended up buying 4 more packs of epoxy and put 1 whole pack on each side of the attachments. I wanted to be really sure I got everything, and it worked beautifully. So we just turned everything on, and no leaks. It was just raining here, so there's a few drips on here from the rain, but everything's going. Yeah, it wasn't sucking through, and we realized that this was full of too much air, so we had to release this valve a little bit, let the air out. So when you get your filter, I highly recommend you watch the DVD instructions that come with it. It'll walk you through all these little options. But we basically just go between either filter or backwash. So you keep it on filter. When you want to turn, you lift this up, You turn it counterclockwise, turn it to backwash, and clean it out.
Alright, so if your pool is green, your water is green, you can kind of clean out the green from the filter by setting it to backwash. And when you turn it on, you'll see some brown come out, green, like that.
Oh yeah.
You want to let it run until it runs clear. Once it's running clear, then you know your filter is nice.
Some of the accessories we have really appreciated are this ladder. I know it seems really big, but it makes it more difficult for the little baby to climb up, and the older kids love jumping off from into the pool. It's nice to have something to rinse feet off before getting in, and we have had just a tub of water, but this little pool works really well. And then we can just rinse that out whenever it gets dirty. We have a bunch of flotation devices for the kids. Life jackets. The little baby wears this and he's supported really well, and same with the 3 and the 5-year-old. The older ones are learning how to swim. You really want to have a pool skimmer to get the big pieces of debris out. We have a bunch of goggles and other little toys that they love throwing in there too. So that's it. I hope you learned how to make a stock tank pool. Please check out my blog to read all of the details and to get links to buy all of the attachments and things that you'll need. And please subscribe to this channel, and I will be uploading more videos that are great tips and tricks for parents, including lots of resources for teaching your child how to read. Thanks.